Hi, today we will be walking through the account-based ledger intelligence, also known as ALI. Here's a quick overview of our data checklist, which outlines the key fields needed to ensure accuracy and depth in our analysis. Fields like account ID, amount, effective date, transaction ID, and transaction type are marked as required because they directly affect the majority of control points or tests being applied. These fields are foundational for validating transactions and identifying the patterns, anomalies, or risk associated with the entries. Optional fields like account description, enter date, memo, user ID, these provide additional context to help enhance the insights but are not mandatory. Here's how MindBridge streamlines your audit engagement. You start by selecting the dataset and mapping the columns, a quick and simple setup. Then, MindBridge out-of-the-box analytics process millions of rows in minutes, using machine learning and business rules to identify risk and anomalies. Finally, these actionable insights are delivered via clear dashboards to enable your team to focus on those high-risk areas and drive value efficiently. This visual represents how MindBridge uses an automated analysis powered by an Ensemble AI to risk score every transaction in your general ledger. By running multiple tests simultaneously, like identifying unusual amounts, duplicate entries, reversals, and rare user or account activity, MindBridge is providing a comprehensive view of risk. This automated approach eliminates manual efforts, ensures consistency, and delivers actionable insights quickly so you can focus on those high-risk areas with confidence. Now that I have an understanding of the underlying solution in the MindBridge approach, let's go ahead and walk through the process in Tool. I've set up an engagement called Vitala Company 2023 Audit. And within the engagement, I can see that I'm prompted to upload a general ledger file. Within here, I can either access my computer or the file managers to select that file. Once the file is selected, it goes through a validation process, and then I'm prompted to continue the data ingestion process. The very first screen that I'm brought to is the data validation stage, where I can see a number of different integrity checks were performed against the data set, including does it have a numeric value? Does it have a date that's in the proper format? Are all the cells consistent in size? I'm also able to get a summary of the number of rows as well as a column preview of the data set that's being uploaded. From here, I can move into the next step of our data ingestion process, which is a mapping of the columns. Right away, I can see that all the columns have already been mapped because our system was able to match memo with memo, user ID with user ID, amount with amount, and so on and so forth. However, if something was not mapped, the left-hand side represents the Excel or CSV file, and the right-hand side is the MindBridge template for the analysis. If I need to match up the columns, I go ahead and select the amount, and I drag it over and match it to the amount column in the template. Once all fields are appropriately mapped, I can move to the next step. In the next step, I'm validating the analysis period. I'm making sure that all the entries are within the period, there's no entries out of the period, as well as the data set amounts to 0. So everything's in balance. This looks appropriate, and I'm able to select next and continue my way through the data ingestion process. In this stage here, the data is now processing based off of the mapping and the analysis period that we indicated in the data ingestion process. Now that the data has been uploaded, I can go ahead and run my analysis. Once the analysis is run, it takes us to this screen of the analysis in progress, which gives us updates until it reaches 100% complete. On the right-hand side here, we'll see the control points, and it will give us updates based off of the rules-based statistical models and machine learning. And once again, this is being analyzed across 100% of your data with the Ensemble AI approach. As a user, you don't necessarily need to sit here and watch the analysis. You could leave, go grab a cup of coffee, get some lunch, and when you get back, it is most likely going to be complete. As we can see, this moves relatively quick for a 150,000 row data set, which represents the average of a private company that is put through our system. The analysis is complete and we can move to view the results. Before we do that, we can head back to the data screen. We can see the run history and see this new file was imported on this particular date, who it was imported by, and the run duration. In this case, this took 1 minute to run a 150,000 row analysis. Let's jump into the results. On the Insights dashboard, I'm able to see my full fiscal period, including all the entries that represent high, medium, and low risk across overall risk, exceptions, and anomalies. Overall risk represents a consolidation of all control points, rules-based statistical models, and machine learning, aggregated into a single score. The exceptions is breaking down just the rules-based tests, such as duplicates or reversals, zero entries, and unbalanced debits and credits. And then anomalies represent some more complex statistical models and machine learning found within the results. We're able to filter off the medium and low risk to just consolidate the results based off of all high-risk entries. In this case, there's 138 high-risk entries, representing 0.1% of the overall entries in this data set. And from here, I can use this to drive my risk-based approach in terms of the transactions I select for testing. MindBridge ALI can be leveraged early in the audit process to enhance risk assessment by scanning 100% of the general ledger entries for anomalies and unusual trends. These trends are then consolidated by account or other key areas, enabling proactive audit planning and providing greater visibility into your client's data. For example, you can drill down into account level risk to identify accounts with unusual behavior that may warrant further investigation. In this case, we can see our accounts receivables and raw materials represent our top 3 risk-ranked account IDs. The fourth is meal expense, which may be outside of our expectations. This insight supports targeted inquiries and can then also flag specific transactions for review later on. So if we drill down into our meal expense, we can see the entries within the Explorer and see there's a pretty significant dollar value that's impacting our meal expense, which may be outside of our expectations. From here, we can go ahead and create a task around this specific item where I can enter a description, high risk account, impacting meals, please investigate. From here, I can add additional tags such as high risk entry. I can include a due date, indicate this task is open, and I can also assign it to particular users and approvers. From here, I can add a comment of any additional pieces of information that are relevant to this particular entry. High monetary value, outside of my expectations. And I can save this task, which will then move into our task manager. Another key procedure that I can perform is journal entry testing. Journal entry testing aims to detect and address potential management overrides of controls and ensures the integrity of the financial statements. We can do this by going back to our Insights dashboard and clearing our filters. MindBridge enables a risk-based approach to journal entry testing, allowing your team to benefit from consistent automated analysis. This streamlined process empowers your lower-level staff to perform the work efficiently, freeing up your senior resources for higher value tasks. For example, within MindBridge, this can be performed by filtering for your manual entry code. In this case, it is JE. Once I apply the JE, we are still filtered for only the high-risk entries, and I can go ahead and scroll down to view all transaction types impacting JE, but I can also look at it based off of transaction IDs. So I can see which transaction IDs represent the highest risk in this particular data set. From here, I can follow that same workflow related to the meals expense and create tasks around these specific entries. Once a task is created, I can move into my task area within the MindBridge program, and I can see my engagement as well as all the tasks. I can filter by the tasks that have been assigned to me to continue to progress the testing that needs to occur around the actual invoices. From here, I can also select various different actions where I can edit, view, delete tasks, and export them into a nice clean Excel file for our work papers. If we select edit task within here, I can go ahead and update this to be completed. The approver can also go in here and select that this has been approved or rejected. And of course, additional comments can be contained within this area. This presentation only scratches the surface of MindBridge capabilities and the transformative impact it can have on your audit engagements. By empowering your teams with advanced AI-driven insights, MindBridge not only enhances risk assessment and resource efficiency, but also elevates the value auditors are delivering to their clients. It's more than a tool, it's a strategic partner in shaping the future of client service and audit excellence.